Welcome to Solving Equations as part of the examples in our summer packet. The learning target is for you to be able to solve multi-step equations. Now there are a couple different ways that people approach this. One of them is that they first will simplify using Pemdas. They simplify both sides using Pemdas. So you try to combine like terms, you distribute, you do certain things. You do parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. And you'll have variable expressions on both sides of the equation. And then to solve, they undo these operations. They actually reverse the order of Pemdas. So I'll give one example like that. There's another method that we prefer at the high school level that we often teach. So the first step is to simplify. The right side of this equation is already simplified. There's nothing I can do. So that part's good. On the left side, there's nothing I can combine in the parentheses because that has an x term and that doesn't. But I can multiply, or rather distribute. So that gives me 32x, 16 times 2x, plus 16 times 3, which is 48, equals 64. So right now I just simplified. There's nothing else I can do on the left. These cannot be combined. So now I'm ready to undo Pemdas. So I undo addition and subtraction first. My goal is to get x by itself. Undo addition and subtraction first by subtracting 48 from both sides. When I do 64 minus 48, I get 16. Now I'm going to divide by 32 to undo the multiplication. X equals 16 over 32, which reduces to 1/2. If this method works for you, you can continue doing it this way. The other way that we often teach is DC V ASMD. And one of the teachers at Northern uses the acronym Dan can vacuum, or the mnemonic device, Dan can vacuum and sweep my deck. What this reminds us to do is to first distribute. Any parentheses that have either a sign in front of them, a negative sign, or a number in front of them, we would distribute on both sides everything that we can distribute. C stands for combine like terms. So once we've distributed, we combine all the terms that have variables and all the constants or numbers that don't have variables. V is get your variable to one side. So we use addition or subtraction to move the variable to one side or the other. A and S is to undo any addition or subtraction. MD is to undo any multiplication or division. So let's follow those steps. Dan can vacuum and sweep my deck. D is distribute. On the left-hand side, I have really a -1 here, or you could just distribute the negative to everything inside the parenthesis. This leaves me with -3 minus 4x plus 1. On the right-hand side, I have a 7, a positive 7. I take the sign with it that I can distribute to the x and the -2. So this leaves me 1 plus 7x. 7 times -2 is -14. So we DCVASMD. We distributed. Our next step is to combine like terms. On the left side, my like terms are -3 and 1. So I have -4x, -3 and +1 give me -2. On the right-hand side, my like terms are the 1 and the -14, leaving me 7x minus 13. Our next step is to get the variable to one side. I like to keep the variable positive. Some people like to always move it to the left. You can choose either one. To keep the variable positive, since it's 7x here and negative 4x here, I'm going to add 4x to both sides. This gives me negative 2 equals 11x minus 13. Now we're on to undoing addition and subtraction. Remember, we're solving for x. So to undo the negative 13, we add 13 to both sides. This gives us 11 equals 11x. And now we undo multiplication and division. The multiplier of 11 we can divide by 11 or multiply by the reciprocal 1/11. This will give us 1 equals x, or we can rewrite it as x equals 1. Try letters A, B, C, and D. When you're finished, you should be able to do the following. Using your calculator or just doing the calculations in your head, plug the number back in. So for example 1, we have 16 by 2 times 1/2. Notice the number I plugged in went in its own set of parentheses. That's the left-hand side of the equation. The right-hand side of the equation is 64. I get the same number on both sides, so I know that it's correct. For this one, let's see if I can read it. We have negative 3 minus 4 times, we have x equal to 1, minus 1. So on the left-hand side, we have a negative 6. On the right-hand side, we have 1 plus 7 by, our x is again 1, minus 2, which is also negative 6. Since both the left and right-hand side are negative 6, we know we solved correctly. Try this for letters A, B, C, and D, and I will post those. You can pause the video while you try those and come back and play it to check your answers. Try it A. The very first step is to distribute, giving us 3x minus 9. Next, we combine like terms. This gives us 3x minus 1 equals 11. Next, we add 1 to both sides, giving us 3x equals 12. To solve for x, we undo multiplication by dividing, getting x equals 4. We plug it back in. 8 plus 3 times 4 minus 3 should equal 11. This is 1 times 3 is 3. 8 plus 3 is 11. So it's correct. On this one, we take the negative 2 and we distribute to the x and the 4, giving us 4 minus 2x minus 8, because negative 2 times 4 is negative 8, equals 8. When I combine like terms, I have negative 2x minus 4 equals 8. I add 4 to both sides to undo subtraction. Negative 2x equals 12. Divide by negative 2, x is negative 6. I can plug that back in to check. 4 minus 2 times negative 6 plus 4 should equal 8. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. Times negative 2 is positive 4, and 4 plus 4 is 8. Letter C. Distributing the negative on the right-hand side gives me 4 minus 10 plus 2x. Nothing to distribute on the left. Now I combine like terms. This gives, on the left-hand side, I have negative 3x plus 9. On the right-hand side, we have 2x minus 6 when we combine the 4 and the negative 10. To make my variable positive, I will add 3x to both sides, giving me 9 equals 5x minus 6. Add 6 to both sides to undo the subtraction. 5x equals 15. Divide by 5 or multiply by 1/5 to the reciprocal of 5 to undo the multiplication of 5. X is 15/5, which is 3. Plugging that back in, negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. So 8 minus 9 plus 1. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Here, if I plug in 3, that's negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So it works that the equation is balanced. For letter D, we actually have a double set of parentheses. The very first thing we will distribute is the 3, giving us 6 minus 9x. Then we'll distribute the negative 2 into that, giving us negative 12 plus 18x. That's just the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, I have negative 7x minus 12. We usually put the variable first, but it's okay if you left it as negative 12 minus 7x. On the right-hand side, I can combine like terms. This is negative 7 plus 18x. To keep my variable positive, I will add 7x to both sides, giving me negative 12 equals negative 7 plus 25x. We'll now add 7 to both sides. That's going to give us negative 5 equals 25x. To undo 25, I can either divide by 25 or multiply by its reciprocal, 1/25. Negative 5 over 25 reduces to negative 1/5. Assuming that I didn't make any mistakes. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to plug in negative 1/5. I have negative 12 minus 7 times negative 1/5, which is negative 10.6. On the right-hand side, I have 5 minus 2 times 3, and then in parentheses, 2 minus 3. Instead of x, I'm plugging in negative 1/5. That closes the parenthesis on the negative 1/5. I have to close the parenthesis on the 2 minus 3 times x, and then close the parenthesis that was outside of that. That also gives me negative 10.6, so we have the correct answer for x. This concludes the video examples and try-it problems for solving multi-step equations. You can find other examples by searching in Khan Academy or YouTube.